I watch a new film every other day. Follow along for recommendations and reviews. Today, I just finished watching ALAKADA Gen Z Part 3, and you know that this was one of my favorite series after like Part 1 and especially Part 2. I was really looking forward to this Part 3. But now let's talk about it, right? It's just you and I on the Video Game Film Club. And if you know Twin Titan, you come across this. I'm also a Twin Titan. Okay, I love Toyin Abraham. I love the ALAKADA Gen Z series. But let's talk honestly, and I'm going to give you my honest thoughts about this part. First things first, this is longer than both part one and part two. Those ones are like 1 hour, 9 minutes, 1 hour, 15 minutes. This one is like 2 hours and 32 minutes. In my opinion, this part three is almost like a knockoff spin off of part one and two. Well, I feel like part one and two, you could see that they had a beginning, and that part two was a really natural conclusion to the end of part one. And part two was just so good, the best of all of them. This part three just is, first of all, more than half of the cast. Nofi is not in this. Oyin is not in this. Even the girl that was introduced in part two, Honeyberry, she's not in this. The thing too that I feel like this part three got wrong, in my opinion, is that I feel like they thought that the lies were the most interesting part of Alakada Gen Z. It wasn't for me. For me, the funniest part of Alakada Gen Z, and even when we're talking about these films, we were saying that the funniest parts were kind of when they were yabbing themselves. Like in part two, I'm going to talk about some spoilers about part one and part two if you have not watched those ones. So in part two now, for example, when Ere is exposed and they're out on the street, now the way that they yab each other, that was funny when they all go to Ire's house and they are saying Irene, papa be that, and Irene like your mama will not speak English. Like those parts were the things that were funny when the girls were like all yabbing themselves, bantering with themselves. This show really worked well when it was an ensemble where you're seeing Ire's fake life, but you're also seeing Afi doing her angel foundation. You're also seeing Yetunde. This part three now, it's majorly Yetunde. And the main thing is just Yetunde and Gabriel Afolayan's character majorly. And there are so many scenes where it's just kind of like Yetunde, and most of it is just the lies. My favorite part in this one again come when she's with Ire, or when even at the beginning of this film, without giving you any spoiler, she has a conversation with Nofi, and there's something she says about Nofi's mother there that was funny. Again, that banter that we liked. Those were the funny bits. It's not just this jet or this USA or this Texas that really made people. It was more so the camaraderie of the girls. And now that that is kind of gone for the most part in this, it just didn't feel as exciting for me. And it's now like a lot longer, and they were just as far as like laughs per minute, where part two was funny, this one I didn't think was all that funny. Also, Gabriel Afolayan, his character here, like he's doing an accent that's very reminded me of like Stan Nze in Borrowed Husband, and he did well, but like I didn't really laugh at his scenes. And there's something I'll talk about with Toyin Abraham's character too, like older youth in the but it's for people that have watched it. So I'm not talking about this film with spoilers. So spoilers are ahead for those of us who have watched it. In three, two, one, let us go. All right, now we're in the spoiler section. Please, if you're going to write a comment that has spoilers, just write spoiler alert before you write your comment so that we don't spoil for people that have not yet watched it. All right, let's start this thing. When this film opens and we see that, Nofi is not even going to be here, she's now in Ibadan to go and take care of her mother. And Yetunde is like, if your mother never has not gotten better all this time, it's not that she'll not get better. That part was funny. Again, she's yabbing Nofi on phone. And immediately I was like, oh, I'm going to really miss Nofi in this. But I didn't know that even Ire will now become such a small character. Onye will not be here, Honeyberry will not be here, none of it. And then they now introduce this new girl in the middle of the thing. And when I see her, I'm like, but what about the other Honeyberry? Waiting to her, how to she could not come back. Even the father, when we end part two, she's Yetunde is telling the father that there's a rich man, but she has told him that you're going to be deaf and dumb. And the grandfather is kind of saying, oh yeah, I'm ready to come and take my role. So I thought that we're going to see the grandfather now play off that one, but that is just completely like brushed aside. But then I think later in the film it's kind of revealed something about like, oh, the Chinese man is not this one. I think they're trying to like just play it away, and I was like, okay, let's also talk about Kazim. Even the way that they get rid of the Kazim Oim money storyline is just kind of like she puts him to one corner. That part I'm like, okay, but then when it's now like Kazim is now still willing to give her 2 million out of 2.7 million, I was like, oh yeah, Kazim is beginning to now look like a mumu in a way that is just looking, it's taking me out. That beginning part too, where Oda Yetunde is trying to compare Yetunde and Nii to that Nii's mother. I found that part kind of funny where she keeps saying that like both of them stole, and Denise's mother is like, no, she didn't steal. But then there was a part where she now starts talking about like, these Gen Z children, they are, oh, and you have to be handled differently. That speech of Gen Z children, the sister of Yetunde had also come and told her earlier in the film of this same Gen Z should be handled differently. So it was something very repetitive, and then they kind of have that beginning part too. Honestly, before Yetunde even really went to Lagos, that first part I was like, okay, and again, it was like 2 hours, 32 minutes. So I really felt the runtime more than I felt part one or part two. And one part that I found funny though was when Yetunde goes to wake up a younger Yetunde and she's still speaking accents even as she's dreaming. That was funny. But that question that they now both had, the two Yetundes, was, where younger Yetunde was like, nobody will call me Yetima. My city of us, we are different. I just like that, the talking of the two Yetundes. That was nice. Her grandfather say, make money, don't make love. I also like that part. And then when she now goes to Lagos and she now finally meets Ire, like once I first see Ire on screen, the way I'm like, finally Ire is here. But then as I'm watching the film, as I was telling you guys in the non-spoiler section, I just go, I guess Ire becomes like a smaller character in this one. And again, in this one too, like I guess Ire is not her market no they really sell, so she's just kind of here as like as an attaché, and then we kind of see the drama a little bit between Ire and Ife. We get some lies of Ire, but she's just kind of like a side character now in a way that I was like I wanted more of Ire because every scene with Ire was like some of my favorite parts. The new girl that they introduced, I think she did well as well. It was nice to see a different kind of character, one that is really embracing her Lapo status and saying, you know what, I might be Lapo, but my children will be Nepo babies. Like that was a nice, just character comparison to the girls, the way that we know them as liars. That part of Bolaji Ogumola was one of my favorite scenes because it was nice to see Bolaji first of all. And then her part was funny. The fact that, that Yetunde was lying that Bolaji was a bush baby, that the father sponsored the film of Ajo Shepa. Like that part was funny. Even when, Bolaji now says, oh, let's go out. And she now says, okay, don't worry, I'll pay. And they don't say, I insist. And she's like, I don't actually eat food outside. That part was funny. That whole scene in Bolaji Ogumola I enjoyed. I want to talk about Gabriel Afolayan's character and his PA. As I said, I didn't really laugh so much about them. Like he was doing the accent and he was doing the voice, and the storyline was okay, but I didn't really find it funny. I never really laughed. Did you like laugh a lot? I didn't really. I also kind of had the feeling that they were like lying, but I honestly thought that he was going to be a swindler. So when at the end, it just turns out that he was just doing all this for like cruise. I was like, okay, so you were spending all this money doing all this thing. I thought it was going to be like a Tinder swindler kind of situation, but this one just like he was doing it for cruise, and I was like, okay. Finally, I want to talk about older Yetunde because this film really made me just go, wait, Yetunde, the way they've kind of made her in this Alakada Gen Z series is so different from the Alakada that we followed Yetunde in the Alakada series. In the part that I felt it the most was when she now came to Lagos and yet younger today was like, this is what you're going to wear. And she was like, yeah, this is my cloth now 650. And she was like saying it. I was like, why is Yetunde now acting like a woman that has never, that like a market woman, like a village woman that just came to city for the first time? Yetunde has touched money. She knows about the fake life. She knows the Lagos culture. She knows the fake it till you make it. That was the whole thing of the Alakada series. We've seen Yetunde wear fantastic clothes. She knows how to come into an Owambe situation. She knows what the rich expect and how to enter that kind of situation. So the way they've kind of now done her in this Alakada Gen Z, where it's like she has lost. I thought that scene where she comes to Lagos, that we will see like a glimpse of the Yetunde that we love from Alakada, and we see it, but in a way that's almost like she's so just not that character anymore. That almost feels too day and night. That I was like, it would have been nice to get at least a refresher that yes, this is that same Yetunde. The only time you ever see it is where she will not say like, myself, I used to lie or stuff like that. But that part where she was just acting like she does not even know what the Echo for Show is all about was like, you have done this before. Overall, this film was not as good as part one or part two, and I'm very curious to know what you think about it. So please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Also, if you've watched this whole video and you have no idea who I am, my name is VDK. I'm the curator of the VDK Film Club, where every other day we watch something new and we just about it like we've done today. Follow along. All right. Until the next film that I watch and the next video that I make, have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.